tonight. I hope that while you were waiting, you got to talk to other people and to meet other neighbors, because we do have what's going on here called the Community Vote Quilt. Every Saturday from 10 to 2, all kinds of people come together and they quilt. And it's a community vote quilt that will be completed by June 5th, the day of the primary, and will hang on this wall on primary night. So it is an opportunity to not only create, but to be here with the neighbor. But tonight I'd like to know, what's our feelings and what's your position? The government says they want to fund schools, we want to have open space. But the only way we can do it, and here's my running name, Assemblyman Gibbon. But the only way we can do it, if we must sell or lease the Turnpike. So that's one part of the discussion. The issue of the school funding formula and just what is the school funding formula and what is tax reform or rebates. So I wonder if we could start out, and maybe I can ask Jessica to comment, what is the school funding formula and how does it affect?
Thank you, Senator. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. And the Montclair School System is doing a series of panels on various issues relating to public schools. So for those of you who want extensive detail on school finance, school finance in general, unfortunately, it's at the same time as Senator Gill's community meeting next week, but I will be participating on a panel on that subject next week for the school system, so I don't want to give too much away tonight. But let me say very briefly, because I know you want to hear from Senator Gill, that we've had the same funding formula in effect in schools in New Jersey since the mid-1980s. It has not been funded since 1992, which means we really don't have a funding formula in place. Districts have received the same amount of money. So Governor Corzine has charged the department with developing a new school funding formula. The operating principle behind that formula is funding that's driven by the needs of the individual child, regardless of where that child may live. The details are in the process of being worked out. We're having a series of meetings with legislators and stakeholder groups. There is no final funding formula as yet. That's something that will be presented to the legislature in, we hope, September. But that's the overarching framework. It's in the context of long-standing litigation, which I won't go through this evening. But I think that, is there anything else you wanted me to focus on?
I wanted to ask, what do you think should be in a school funding formula? Because the school funding formula drives, what does it drive in Montclair and other towns?
Taxes.
And so, do you have any ideas, do people have any discussion on what do you think we should be funding in a school funding formula at the state of New Jersey? Is there...
All I want to say is I think my students came up with some sort of idea in my political science special because they thought that the state should fund the salaries of the teachers. Not benefits necessarily, not the administrative costs, but the salaries of teachers should be state employees. If you get the teacher salaries off the backs of taxpayers locally, that might be a solution. It was a student idea from my poli-sci class. So I'll mention that.
And are there any...
Hi, Bob Newton. I actually was down there when they passed that formula for the legislature. Actually, they had the opposite point of view, Bob, because we currently pay for the pensions of all teachers. And Florio administration tried to take that out, and actually there was a revolt and they pulled it back. The problem with that is pensions don't drive the negotiations process. So I think there's some problems with that. So The difficulty we found back in 1989, I think it was, when it passed QEA, was it just wasn't enough money to distribute and reach districts with the property value base of Montclair. The only way money could reach them was through like special desegregation aid. If you can reach Montclair, you're going to have to fund a very, very high percentage of the amount. We do reach it to certain monies like dedicated for special education and programs like that, but if you're talking about base aid, and you start running formulas, equitable formulas based on numbers, you're going to have to put a very, very significant amount of money, I think, at least in the formula, to reach money. There may be other ways to reach it. It's a complicated topic.
Well, I'll ask you some question because I wanted to know whether the school construction or school innovation is part of what you're talking about, because recently there has been this blowback construction that they say there wasn't enough money for. Furthermore, we're supposed to have a new school in Montclair. So where does that fit in with this education formula you're talking about?
I think, Jessica, I think that they're two different, trying to do different things. Construction is construction. School funding formula is school funding.
I'm Stan Karp. I was a public school teacher for 30 years in Patterson. I'm a homeowner in Montclair, but I thought it was through the public schools. I think a school funding formula has to provide a thorough and efficient education for all kids in New Jersey. I think there's a lot of debate as to what is included in the thorough and efficient education. I think the problem in New Jersey is one of the highest spending states in education per pupil in the country, but it's number 42 in the percentage of that cost that's paid at the state level. And because it's so low at the state level in the cost share that's picked up by the state, the burden on property taxes. We rely too heavily on local property taxes. So I think a new school funding formula has to have more state support for all schools at the state level. And I also think that we should talk about Abbott, that we have in New Jersey the best school funding formula for poor urban children. And it's the only state in the nation where poor urban children are entitled to the same level of spending as the richest level in the richest communities in the state. And I think it's really important that a new school funding formula protect that commitment to equity and extend it to all children in the state.
And this is a conversation, so we want your ideas. I need your ideas when Tom and I in the back home into different houses. We need to know what you think.
My name is Veronica Sophia. I live in Montclair. Okay.
I'm opposed.
Talking about school funding is fine. And that's talking about where the money comes from in order to pay for it. But everyone should realize that we have zero control, almost, in fact, I can say zero control over salaries. In other words, the salary schedules are negotiated by the union, and then on top of that, as they take more courses, every 10 credits of courses that they pay, we pay for their continuing education, and as they take the courses at their option. And so as they get every 10 credits, they get a boost in salary. So if you want to boost your salary, you just take courses, and you don't even have to pay for it. So that's where the problem is right now. A number of years back, I calculated what it would be, and how much extra money a teacher would receive if they went just to a master's degree. And at the time, it was about like another, if they didn't get the money as they went along, but they were given as a lump sum, it would be another $500,000 worth of lump sum payment at the end of their retirement. Today, it's probably more like $750,000. And we pay for all of that. And I don't know, we should be thinking about how we fund, we should be thinking about what the costs are.
Very good point. Very good point. So is that an issue that you think is important, not just the funding, but how we're spending the money and where we're spending it and what we're getting for